morning, Mr. Lesham is here, and it is, what is it? What do we say, JD? Is
No Mask Friday.
No Mask Friday, okay.
Free Friday.
So yeah, we're going to do basically one question which is a little bit more difficult involving quadratic patterns. We did a similar question with linear pattern yesterday. I didn't video it, but and it wasn't too difficult. It's with X, you know. Whenever you have like a number pattern and the X in the middle, you know it's going to be a bit hard. And then maybe it's a decision you have to make. Is it time to run to the hills, escape, move on to the next question, or give it a go? It's seriously now, it's a decision you have to start making. But you just need to know this is a more difficult, what we call level 3, maybe even level 4 question. Okay?
What's the highest level, sir?
4 is the highest. Okay, so maybe level 3. Right, so they tell us it's a quadratic pattern. We need to find X. Okay? What we do is the same thing we did last time with when we have a linear pattern. We find the differences, right? So the difference between these are what?
-6.
Well, plus 6 actually, right?
How is it?
Goes up, right? Goes up.
So then 1 minus 7.
No. We always do the final one minus the initial. Goes up. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the difference between these two?
X minus
So
7.
it's very important. It's good that you made a mistake here, because we need to remember it's always the second term minus the first term. Okay? Right, what will be the difference between these two?
37 minus X.
It's 31. Okay, it's 31 minus X. Okay. Now, last time when we had the linear, if I tell you that this is a linear sequence, we did the same thing, and then what did we do? Do you remember?
X minus 7 is equal to 3.
We said, oh, these are equal to each other. X minus 7 equals 6. Because in the linear sequence, the differences are the same. But now we thought it's not linear, it's quadratic.
So the differences have to be the difference of the differences.
We need to find the difference of the differences, and you see why it's more difficult. So now we'll use another color. What is the difference between these one?
X minus 7 minus 6.
X minus 7 minus 6, which let's write it down here. It's X minus
12.
13. And then I'll write it down like that, equal. And this is a little bit more tricky. What should I write?
X minus 7.
31 minus X minus,
X minus 7.
like this?
Brackets.
Yes! Is that Jojo said that? Alright. Don't forget the brackets. Imagine if you forget the brackets, somebody's going to give you a double slap like this. 2 brackets. Okay, because it's that minus that. If you don't do the brackets, it's going to be minus X minus 7. But no, it's minus all of it. So it will be minus X plus 7.
That is weird.
Okay, pause here and I'll show you. No, I'll show you now. Okay. Let's say 4. Let's say I have 2 numbers. 4 and 3 minus 1. Okay? What is 3 minus 1?
2.
2. So now, if I want to do that minus that, so I should write 4 minus 2, which is 2, right? Or I can say 4 minus 3 minus 1 in brackets. I must put the minus in brackets. Otherwise, it's not going to work, right? Can you see it? Okay. That's it. Okay? Right. So, let's carry on and work out what this thing is. 31 minus X. Minus X plus 7 equal
Minus
38 minus
2X.
2X. Okay. A bit trickier, eh? I'll just pause here. Okay. Alright. Now what do we do?
Now you're work out.
X.
That's the
use that
first one.
formula,
Is A, and then the second one is 3A plus 2.
Is X minus equal?
I'll just pause here. So, no, we don't need to do that A plus B plus C and the 3A. We don't need to do it here. Because we just asked to find what X is. You understand? They're not asking us what the nth term. We're using that A plus B plus C and the 3A plus B and the 2A when we ask to find out what's the nth term. Maybe that's the next question. But first they're just asking us what X is. So, like you guys said, it's not that these are equal. It's these that are equal. These are equal. So I'm going to write an equation. X minus 13 equals 38 minus 2x. Move the 2x to the other side, I get 3x. Move the 13 to the other side, I get 51, I think. X equal, that, how much is that?
17.
17. Brilliant. Okay, let's pause here. Hopefully you managed to do that question. Now we're moving to two more difficult questions, and I would definitely say they're level 4. So don't be too sad if you don't get it. But if anything, it's just to recognize that they are difficult, so you know to run to the yeah? But you know, when we build a test, we don't have all level 4s. It should be a combination of them. Okay? So right. So we got quadratic pattern. This is, by the way, example 6. Okay, so you don't need to write it down. It's in page 46. Now we've got a quadratic pattern. Now they're not asking you. This is, I know a lot of people. Some people will see that straight away. They'll say, okay, this is 0, 4, 8. This is 4 and 4, and you start writing 2a, 3a plus b, a plus b. No need to do that, because they're not asking you to find the nth term. You only do that if you want to find the nth term. Then you know it's an squared plus bn plus c, and you can find the a, b, and the c like that. But they're not asking you. What they're asking you, what is the difference between the 50th and the 51st term? What does that mean?
So won't that be one?
What? So that's your first term, that's your second term, that's your third term, that's your fourth term.
So do you count
Okay.
this as a 50?
Now you'll be mad if you carry on fifth term, sixth term, and all that. No, you don't want to do it. What you want to do is, you don't need the difference of the difference, you just look at that. This is all the differences between these terms. And that is, what kind of pattern is that? It's not quadratic. This is quadratic. This is linear. It goes up, well, I do actually need to write it down. It goes up by 4 all the time.
So
Okay?
then wouldn't you know?
So what we're going to do is we're going to write the nth term. And you see, that's what's difficult about this question, because they don't tell you. You need to understand what you need to find, the nth term of the difference, of differences. Okay? So you're looking to find out what's the 51st term here. Okay? So how do we find that? We know how to find out patterns of linear sequences. Okay? I write down 4n, right? Because that's the difference, plus some kind of correction term. Remember that we started down number sequences with that. Okay? So we put the differences here, time n plus a correction term. How do we find the correction term? Okay? To find out, it helps us to find. So the first term, what's the first term? The first term is 0, right? Here, of this. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Alright? So that must be equal to 4 times 1 plus c.
Wow.
So I'm not getting something.
Wow, it's just
Okay,
4
I'll-
times
I'll-
1 plus c.
Okay, I'll just pause here. There's some question.
So-
How do we find c? Okay? I know that the first term is in the differences, in the green term. I'll write it in green. Shall we write it in green? Let's write it all in green. Tn equal 4n plus c. I know that the first term is actually 0. But if I use this equation, I can also say that the first term is 4 times 1 plus c. In other words, 4 plus c. Yeah? So now I can combine these together to say that 4 plus c equal
0.
0. In other words, c is equal
-4.
minus 4. So now I've got, I'm going to rewrite it here again, I've got the nth term for the differences is 4n minus 4. I'm just going to pause here. Let's wrap it up. Okay? This number, giving a certain n, the n can be 1, 2, 3, it gives you the difference between those two terms. Now, my question was, what's the difference between the 50th and the 51st term? And there's another little really difficult thing here. So imagine I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm getting to 50, and then 51. I want to know what's the difference between, there's something here, and I'm looking for that difference. Okay? Now, look, that's going to be a bit difficult for me to explain it. The first term on this series is the difference between the first and the second pattern, terms. The second, let's do another color. Okay? So that's number 1 in this pattern. This is number 2 in that pattern. This is number 3 in that pattern. Okay? I want to find between the 50th and the 51st. So what I'm going to do is find what term is number 50. Not 51st, it's 50. The 50th term here, the 50th term on this sequence is going to be the difference between the 50th and the 51st day. Let's just leave it. Let's just go with the flow. Okay? So I'm going to look for T50, and the answer will be 4 times 50 minus 4. That's 200 minus 4. I have 396. Let's see if we got it right. No.
No, it's 196.
So it's 200. Sorry, it's 196. Yeah. And we got it right. I know you got a million questions. Okay, I will answer them now. But like I said, don't worry about it too much. This is a level 4 question. I'll answer it a bit. Let me just recap the whole thing, and then I'll give you a chance to ask questions. So when we asked about the difference between terms in a quadratic pattern, we first start writing down the pattern, the number pattern of the differences. That number pattern will always going to be a linear pattern. The difference of a quadratic pattern is forever linear. So we find then the nth term of that linear sequence, and we find the A, and we find the B, and once we find that, we have to figure out really what is n. And in this case, the difference between the 50th and the 51st term on the quadratic pattern is term number 50 in the list of the differences. I'm going to stop here and give you some time for asking questions. Another level 4 question. I'm just going to go through it. Don't worry about it too much. This is actually the question, but I want to start with something that you can see what's happening here. This is a quadratic sequence. Now, not all quadratic sequences, well, they actually all do it, really. We just don't always see them. But you can see what's interesting about this quadratic sequence.
Repetition.
It goes up and then it goes down. Actually, all quadratic equations do it. Okay, I just want to show you this one as an example, then we're going to go into the proper example. So let's try and find out, let's try and show that as a quadratic sequence. Okay, how do we show that a sequence is a quadratic? What do we have to do? Difference of the difference. So what's the difference here? Plus 3. Difference here? Plus 1 here. Minus 1 here. Minus 3. If you do the difference of the difference, this is going to be minus 2, negative 2, negative 2. So you can see it is quadratic. In fact, all quadratic are either going to go up and then down, or go down and then, what does that remind you? Parabola. Yes. Remember all these things. Okay? So all these sequences, these quadratic sequences, okay, they really look like ax squared plus bx plus c. It's not a coincidence, guys. They are all very related to these parabola. The only difference is that here the n can only be what we call a discrete. 1, 2, 3. It can't be anywhere in between. Okay? So I just wanted to show you that, because we didn't see it before, but all quadratic patterns eventually they go up and then down or down and up. In other words, they have a minimum or a maximum. If it's like that, it has a maximum. If it's like this, it has a minimum. And what we're going to try and do now is find, in this case, it's going to be the minimum. Okay? I'm going to pause here, we'll do a break, and we'll come back to it. So, so we realize that all quadratic patterns, just like quadratic functions, okay, they either have a maximum or a minimum. Now, the first question, this question, there were 2 parts. The first part, they're going to ask you, they give you this pattern, and they ask you to find the nth term. Minus 30, it should be minus 35. Okay? So they're asking us to find the nth term. Now, we've done that. I'm not going to do it now. You know how to do it. You find the differences. You find the difference of the differences. You write 2a, 3a plus b, a plus b, c. You solve these equations. That's probably five marks at least. And I'm going to just write down what the answer is. Okay? N squared. N squared. Hang on. N squared minus 42n plus 440. I can see there's a mistake. Just pause and you talk. Okay, yes. What's the mistake? I skipped a term here. We had 288 and then 255. I don't even need it. Okay. But just to understand. Okay. The question is. Okay. The question was find the nth term. So far, nothing new. Okay. I don't need to explain that. I hope you find the nth term. I can see another question. I'll pause. So, thank you, Simon, correcting me here. This is plus 2, really. Okay? And I'll reiterate it. Okay? I had to do a lot of work. Well, I didn't do any work. I just copied from the book. But you have to do a lot of work to go from here to figure out where is that minus 42 come from? Where is that 1 coming from? Where is that 440? We have to, but we've done it. Are we okay?
Yes.
Can we carry on?
Yes.
Okay, this is a level 2 question. There's nothing exciting here. Now comes the question, which term is, and actually I'm not going to tell you what the question, I'm going to say highest or lowest value. Now in the book, don't look in the book, okay? But they actually tell you which one it is. But I want us to decide together. Okay, they're asking us which one is either the highest or the lowest value. It's not. Yeah. Which one is the highest or the lowest? They're only asking one of them.
For this particular one.
Yes, and I want us to decide which one should they ask us. Should they ask what's the highest or which one is the lowest? Why lowest? Why not highest?
The n is positive.
The n is, or the n square is positive. Now, remember, we're already realizing now that is somehow related to quadratic function. In other words, a parabola. What kind of parabola is this? It's a smiley face. Okay? Because this is positive in front of the n square, it's a smiley face. What does a smiley face have? A maximum or a minimum? A minimum. In other words, it will have a lowest value. It's not going to have a highest value. Okay? It's going to go down, then it's going to go up. It's never going to stop. So it's not going to have a highest value. It's going to get higher and higher and higher and higher. But it does have a low value, what we call a minimum. So let's scrap that. It has a lowest value, or sometimes we'll call it a minimum. Now the question is, how do we find the minimum? I'll pause and hear what you got to say. Good, I'm glad you clicked, okay? We are trying to find out the minimum for this. And the way we learned to do it early in the year is to complete the square. So let me quickly remind you how you do that. What you do is you take the n, okay? Because it's minus, I'm going to put a minus. And then you remember what we do with that 42? Halve it. We write 42 divided by 2, and that is squared. Remember that one? Then we have to correct this because I'm going to have plus 42 over 2. I need to do minus 42 over 2 squared to get rid of that term that will come up. And then plus 440. Okay? I'll pause here. So it didn't shock you too much. Okay, how are we going to write it? N minus 21 squared minus, if you don't mind, I'm just going to, you can put that in the calculator. I think what you get is 1. Okay? So in other words, the nth term is n minus 21 squared minus n. It's the same as that. Okay, here we wrote the nth term like this. We completed the square, we turned it like this. And now we can answer, first of all, for which n. Because when they're asking us which term, in other words, they're asking us what is n, that will give you the minimum lowest term. Pause and see what you got to say. JD, you answered the question right, okay? The question again was which n will give you the lowest expression here. Now, look, this thing, because it's square, what do you know about this thing? It's forever positive. This thing. If I square something, it's never going to be negative. It's positive, right?
Yes.
Okay? So this thing is positive, okay? but there's one value where it's the lowest, which is 0. When is this thing 0? When n equal? When n equal? When is this going to be 0? It's never going to be negative. It's always going to be positive. But for one n, it's actually going to be 0.
21.
For n equal 21. When n is 21, when I put 21 minus 21 square, that's going to be 0. Okay? So the answer is n equal 21. That 21st term is your lowest. Is the lowest. That's the answer. Let's pause. They didn't ask us here, they didn't ask us this question. They only asked us which term is the lowest, and the answer is 21. But maybe, what other question could they ask you now? What is actually the lowest term? What is the value of the lowest term? For n equal 21, what will be the lowest, what is the lowest term?
0.
Is not 0, okay? The 21st term is going to be 21 minus 21 square, which is 0. Minus 1. So minus 1, okay, the value minus 1, okay, is the lowest term, okay? Which term is it? Term 21. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think I confused myself, okay? The 21st term, if I carry on, this is, what is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. If I carry on, I'm going to get to 21.
And that would be
That's the lowest, and it is.
Okay, so that's what I want.
Wait, no, wait. No.
I'll just say goodbye to you guys, and I'll try and help you. Bye. What did you say, Jojo? Mental health is very important, so
100%.
don't worry too much about these level 4s.